started telling you about it, when I moved down to Florida, there were two big stories, one on television and one in the newspapers that caught my attention. And I'm sure you all remember the very beautiful Grace Kelly-esque school teacher, blonde, who had an affair with a 14-year-old student. And she would appear in court. The thing that just struck me from the start was the way she would look at the cameras, and she just loved the attention that was coming from it. And so I started looking into the case. And first, my son was 14 at the time, and I just couldn't figure out. This woman would have just been married for 6 months, and she would take the student home, to her marital bed and play with him, and another time she would be with him in the back seat of her car when his 15-year-old cousin drove them around. And the cousin had told the district attorney that he was watching her in the rearview mirror, and she just kept smiling at him. She just liked being looked at, while she was doing it. And I was intrigued with that. The second story was about these two Hispanic kids, 10 and 6 years old respectively, who had, their mother had murdered them. One was brought back to life. His heart, everything had stopped. Wasn't breathing. He was brought back to life, the 10-year-old. The 6-year-old was too small and frail, and he died. What she did was she drugged them, dragged them into the garage, started her car, and then went off to this evangelical church that she was a member of. And I was just intrigued by these two stories, and I said, how do I put these together? And so, as some of you guys know, it's what if is a big thing for mystery writers. And the thing that struck me is, well, what if this kid grew up and became a cop and devoted his life to catching murderers? And what if one of the cases he had to investigate was a beautiful school teacher who had molested, and abused children, and at the same time throwing in his mother being up for parole to get out of prison at the same time. But just, put that all in a pot and see where it went, and this is where it went. So if you would like, I will read the prologue and part of the first chapter, which will give you a flavor of the characters. I'm going to sit down so I can do this more easily. The mirrored ball rotating above the stage sent small patches of light spiraling about the room. And together with the grinding beat of the music, it seemed to accent the faint film of sweat that covered the dancer's body. She was a beautiful woman, young and lithe and erotically proportioned. And she was dressed in the skimpiest of thongs, with a bikini top so small it failed to cover the aureoles of her breasts. Yet none of that staged eroticism found its way into her dancing, and the perspiration on her body came from the heat of the stage lights rather than any degree of exertion. Darlene Beckett studied the woman and tried to think of a single word that would describe her performance. Somnambulistic was the only one that came to mind. And she wished she could go up on the stage and push the woman aside, show her how to arouse the men who sat staring up at her, show her how to use her body, how to put that little pout on her lips, how to make her eyes call out with an open invitation, how to use all of it, until she had them slipping their hands under the table and reaching for themselves. A faint smile played across Darlene's lips as she thought of doing just that. But of course she couldn't. The media would jump on any misstep she made, and the courts would be right behind, just waiting for a chance to slap her down. Darlene had been able to get rid of the ankle monitor she was supposed to wear,
That was no longer a problem. She had vetted her probation officer within a month of her sentencing to house arrest, and he had helped her remove it on two conditions. First, that she always wear slacks to hide its absence, and second, that she keep it with her at all times so she could claim it had just fallen off if she was ever questioned about it. She smiled again. She had ignored that second condition from the very start. The monitor sat atop her bedroom dresser, deactivated, and there it would stay. As far as the courts and the probation department were concerned, she was home asleep in her bed. "Hello there, pretty lady." Darlene turned to the sound of the male voice. It was the man who had been watching her most of the evening, and she had been wondering when he would get up the courage to approach her. She had even asked one of the dancers about him just to make sure he wasn't a well-known creep. He was certainly young enough. He was also tall and lean and fairly good-looking. He was wearing a cowboy hat, Western-style boots, and a wide belt with a large silver buckle to hold up his jeans. There were a great many horse ranches scattered across the nearby counties, but he didn't carry with him that always lingering smell of horse. Just a barroom cowboy, she decided. "Hi there," she said, thinking that despite the costume, this one just might do. "The name's Clint. You who I think you are?" he asked. "Who do you think I am?" "That lady who was on TV all the time a few months back." "You have a good memory for faces, Clint. My name's Darlene, in case you forgot that part." "I didn't forget." He flashed a wide, very white smile. "I just never thought I'd get a chance to meet you." Darlene put some sparkle in her eyes and allowed her lips to play with the idea of a smile. "And now you have." He gave a long, slow nod of his head. "You like this place?" He raised his chin, indicating the room. "I like to watch the dancers," Darlene said. "The good ones, anyway." She let her eyes go to the woman on the stage and gave a small shake of her head, letting him know this one wasn't one she enjoyed. "I like everything about it." Clint drew a deep breath. "The place smells like sex." Darlene took a long, slow, less obvious breath, filling her lungs with the intermingling odors of stale liquor and cigarettes and sweat. She let her playful smile return. It does," she said. The cowboy leaned in close. "You want to take a little ride? I could pick up whatever you're drinking. Maybe we could head on over to the beach. How's that sound?" Darlene's hands began to tremble. She reached for her purse and squeezed it between them to hide that small display of fear. She drew a long breath, then hit him with the full force of her deep green eyes. "That might be nice," she said. The smile that followed glittered under the rotating lights. Clint leaned even closer. "Darlene, honey, I promise you it's going to be very, very nice."